Greetings YouTube, Sega Zombie here and welcome back guys to another video, and this is a VR response, a video response to Zanoni, I believe that's how it's pronounced, Zanoni Revived. Now I originally see this VR go out by Geordie Slasher Gaming. It's your 10 favourite Master System games. I don't often do my 10 favourite games, guys, because it could change like the wind, basically. I have so many games that are so nostalgic for me on Sega platforms, especially the Mega Drive and the Master System, but I'm really into the Master System at the moment. I'm really digging it. I'm loving the 8-bit sort of generation at the moment. And the Master System has got some belters, and there has been VR responses going up like crazy. I've seen Retrored Steve's and Roller X-Core, Roller Eddie, Rollercore. He has put a video up too. So what I'll do is I'll put all the links, guys, in the description box below this video. I've tried not to watch any of those to sway my opinion in any type of way. I will watch them straight after I've filmed this though. But what I will say is I really enjoyed Zanoni Revived. I've subbed the guy. He's a new channel which is really great. Geordie Slasher Gaming. The VR responses work brilliant, mate. Mark, I found a new channel to subscribe to. It looks like his background is all in Sega, which is absolutely brilliant. He's grown up on it. My cup of tea. So I've dropped him a sub, and I'm giving him a bit of a shout out on this video. Now, going back to the topic of my 10 favourite Master System games. Guys, this is going to be really tough. Like I said, it will change daily. If you ask me every day what my 10 favourite Master System games in order would be, it would change all the time. So this is it for now. And it's led 100% by nostalgia. You know me, guys. It's going to have a tale. It's going to be nostalgic. But before we get into the top 10, the game we've got playing here on the PVM is not in my top 10, even though it's a game I love dearly, and that is R-Type. So, honourable mention times, we've got R-Type, guys. The only reason I've kept this one out of my top 10 is it wasn't just the Master System that I have fond memories of this game on. I've got fond memories of this on the Spectrum, on my mate's Commodore 64, also the Amiga, you know, every system, even the Super Nintendo Super R-Type, you know, it was released on so many systems, and I've got nostalgic for on many. So I've tried to keep these games in my top 10 to the games that are really nostalgic for me, just on the platform of the Master System. Now, as you'll see in the corner here, I've got the Master System converter running through the Mega Drive. It's just because of space on my desk at the minute is a premium, which is the bane for most of us collectors and gamers, is space. And also, let's just quickly address the room. We've got the Karate Kid playing on the little CRTV on the video. Guys, I had to pick an 80s nostalgic classic, especially when we're talking Master System. So we've got the Karate Kid playing up there. Up here, we've got a bit of Nintendo in a Sega video, but yet we've got Spartan X, which is Kung Fu Master, playing on the Famicom, and I absolutely love this game. I've been playing it a ton. An IROM classic, so fits well with R-Type, but yeah. And then just below the TV, we've got an absolutely awesome bit of art sent to me by, I'd imagine, Max, but it's been sent by Scott, Sega Saturn lad, and his son Max. They've been doing loads of these like hammer bead retro inspired art, and I was blown away when this turned up this morning. Scott and Max, thank you so much. That is absolutely fantastic. The Sega logo and the zombie there, I love it, mate. Chuffed sick with that. Absolutely awesome. It's got a home right there. I love it. I really love it. But back to the Master System. So we've got honourable mention number 1 is R-Type. There's going to be quite a few, guys, I'm afraid. Next up, guys, playing on the TV, we've got Submarine Attack. Now, this is a game that until recently, until fellow tubers were showing this game off on their videos, I didn't know this game existed. Submarine Attack is not a game I had back in the day, and what gives me a buzz, especially finding a Sega game you've never played before. And this is a really, really good game, guys. Submarine Attack. I feel if it had nostalgia and I grew up with it, it would be in my top 10, definitely. A fantastic little shooter. A brilliant, brilliant graphics, and it handles really well for an 8-bit. I'm just hoping, here we go, it's going to show some gameplay. But I had to put this in honourable mentions. Look at those graphics. Look at the colour. The detail. You just didn't get this in the NES. In the Nintendo Entertainment System. You did not get graphics like that. Absolutely awesome graphics for an 8-bit system. It really is. And a great game is Submarine Attack. Next up, an honourable mention. We're going to have as many honourable mentions as we are going to have in my top 10. See, this is the problem when you're asked a top 10 on a Sega console for me. But Ninja Gaiden, this one just slightly missed out in my top 10. And I think it's... I'm not sure why. I absolutely adore ninjas. I love this game, an action platformer. It looks great on the Master System. It's completely different to the NES version as well. It plays a lot different to that. This one's a lot more forgiving than the NES version, the NES version, but I don't know why. Today, it's not in my top 10. Tomorrow, it might be. Next up, guys, we've got Rastan. Now, this is a Taito classic arcade game. Hack and slash platformer. One of the early sort of hack and slash platformers. And I have bags of nostalgia for this game in the arcade and predominantly on the Spectrum. This doesn't play half bad on the Specky. And I can remember grabbing this on the Master System for the very first time and just thinking it was arcade perfect. I don't know why back then, but at that age when I was getting these games on the Master System, I was convinced they were like just arcade ports. They were arcade perfect. Clearly they're not. But back then I was just amazed. From going from a Sinclair Spectrum to a Sega Master System, it was just night and day. It really was. And again, ask me another day and this would be in my top 10. Rastan. Another honourable mention, guys, and we've got the Ninja. And again, on another day, this game would be in my top 10. It really would. Just the nostalgia of it. I can remember my brother got on his BMX and he biked from our house into town. And he went to an independent sort of second-hand game shop called Microsonic. And I can remember him buying a Master System 2. And it came with the Ninja. And we were absolutely amazed. So in my original days of owning the Master System, I didn't have the Ninja. It wasn't until my brother got one. And he loved this game. My brother wasn't much of a gamer. He still isn't. But he did like the Ninja. Played it loads back in the day. And I've got a lot of fond memories for this game. It is a classic. Very simple graphically. But it plays blindingly. It plays so well. Really smooth. Fast-paced game. Here we go. We've got some gameplay here, guys. I know this is one that has been floating around. Retro Bait. He's got a lot of memories tied with this game. Playing it with his dad. And he'd also done sort of like a VR response video wanting people to play the Ninja. And it is a classic. A stone cold classic. And on another day, guys, this would be in my top 10. But unfortunately, it just misses out. Next up, guys, we've got Rampage. Another game that on another day would make my top 10 with nostalgia alone. Me and my brothers loved playing this. But again, the reason why this is left off the list is because I had this on all systems. I can remember playing it on the Spectrum. My mate had it on his Amstrad. My other mate had it on the Commodore 64. We played it on the NES, I believe. And we definitely played it on the Amiga. And all the re-releases and all the different sequels on all the systems. So I thought I'd leave Rampage off the top 10 for those very reasons. So Rampage, again on another day, it could have made the list. Another game, and being into retro, guys, I can't get it to load. I can't get it to load on the Master System converter. But that is Global Defense. This is, I promise, guys, the last honourable mention. Like I said, there's nearly as many honourable mentions as there is in my top 10. But this is a game I discovered when chasing the full Hit Squad release collection on the Spectrum. There's a game on there called SDI Global Defense, and I didn't realise it was originally a Sega arcade game called Global Defense, and it was released on the Master System. And I tell you what, this is a cracking little game. It's kind of like a more up-to-date take kind of on Missile Command. You control a satellite that it's kind of strange how you move, how you target onto the incoming UFOs and things like that. Earth is under attack and there's loads of deadly missiles launched towards Earth, and you're the last global defender satellite to take them out. And it's a great little game, guys. It's awesome on the Spectrum, and on the micros it's known as SDI, but Global Defense. And I promise, guys, that's the last honourable mention, but as you can see, we've got quite a few there. So let's now start with me top 10. Number 10, and most of you are going to be screaming at the at the screen on this one, but it's Dynamite Ducks, and there's a reason why I'm adding this. And I've kind of gone against my rule, as I did actually really like this game on the Atari ST, but it was originally the Master System I bought it. And why I've put it in at number 10, this is the first Sega console game that I purchased with my own money, guys. So I can remember getting my paper round money, biking into town and picking this game up. And to be quite honest, the only reason I did pick this game up is it was the cheapest Master System game in the shop. So that probably should have given it away, but I don't know what. I love this, and you've got the old Colonel Kentucky up there, which always makes me laugh. But an absolutely fantastic nostalgic game for me. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not really a side-scrolling beat-em-up. And it's not really a side-scrolling shooter. What is it? You know, but it's a great game. I would love to own the original arcade PCB of this one day. But Dynamite Ducks, guys, is at number 10. At number 9, we've got Vigilante. Vigilante, I love revenge films. I love anything to do with revenge. When I was a wee nipper, I watched Charles Bronson's Death Wish. What a film. A Michael Winner film. Fantastic movie. And I was just absolutely mesmerised and captured by revenge. Any film, anything where a good guy has to go out and take on the bad guys. I think we all love a good revenge story, and Vigilante captured that for me. Again, it is complete nostalgia. When I got my very first Master System, it was second hand off a friend of the family, and I can remember that this game was bundled in with it, and I thought at the time the graphics were mind-blowing. And just seeing the iconic junkyard scene here, it's kind of a modern take on Kung Fu Master. So it's kind of like a step up on the side-scrolling beater. But yeah, Vigilante, that is number 9. Number 8, guys, and we've got Choplifter. What a cracking little game this is. At the time, there didn't seem any other game like it. Most shooters were just one aim, A to B, whether that was going from left or right, right to left, up the screen. You just had to shoot the bad guys. And this seemed to be the first game, sort of like, it took the Defender idea. You know, Defender, I remember blowing my mind when that come out, in the fact that you had to rescue the little guys. But I found Defender an absolutely brutally hard game, and it is still today a brutally hard game to master. So for me, being young, Choplifter kind of was a simplified version of it. Absolutely great graphics, an absolutely awesome port on the Master System. This is a game I mentioned in my last video, actually. Retro Chef Lee, he sent me a load of catalogues and leaflets for the Master System, and I can remember sharing the memory of sitting in the playground, going through that catalogue while eating my lunch, and wishing the games that I wanted for my birthday or Christmas, and Choplifter was one of them. And, you know, that's got to be in the list, and that is number 8, guys. Number 7, and it's Wonder Boy. Now, I can imagine the other Wonder Boys will be in most people's Master System top 10, but this is the only Wonder Boy game that features in my top 10 today, and I absolutely adore the original Wonder Boy. It brings back so many memories. Again, the local chip shop near our school, I think I've told this tale before, I used to go in there at lunchtime, get me chip butty and play Wonder Boy. It was 10 pence a go on the old chip shop arcade, very similar to my Video Master, and I just loved this game. I really loved Wonder Boy, and when I got it on the Master System, again, this came in the original bundle that I got with my first ever Master System, and I was blown away. I thought this was arcade perfect, and it was just like having the chip shop arcade machine in my bedroom. I absolutely adore Wonder Boy then, and I still really adore the game now. It's simple, but it's such an early platformer, and I know we all talk about Mario, but this is sort of like, this was around the same time as the original Mario game, and it's just a quality, simple, pure platformer, and I love it. It's got that speed element to it as well. You know, it's got quite a lot of pace. It runs really smooth. So colourful again. It's got the Sega colours. It's a cracking game, and it has to be in my top 10, and that is number 7, guys. Number 6, and we've got Renegade. Now, this game I favour over Double Dragon. I believe this, to me, was the first sort of proper side-scroll and beat-em-up for me personally. I know that's going to cause a lot of controversy with some, but it was Renegade that captured me, guys. And I can remember playing this in the arcades, and I can remember crazing my parents for this one for my birthday and getting it. It's a brutally hard game. The reason why I wanted it as well is it's not only the arcade, I have a fond memory of it, but it's a Spectrum classic. You know, Renegade on the Specky is one of my favourite games, but they play so different. This is a brutally hard game, guys. It really is. But when you get the hang of it and you get into the flow of the game, it's actually really hard to put down because you just get that little bit further. It's a gorgeous looking game as well. I'm not sure if there's any roll and footage here of the gameplay in the demo sequence. I think it just goes on this, but it's a cracking little game. Not the cheapest game to pick up these days, but definitely worth it. Definitely worth it, guys. If you can get hold of Renegade, grab it. Number 5, guys, and you knew it was coming. There has to be an Outrun game in any Sega system I'm talking about and doing a top 10. It feels like I have to put Outrun in there. But this was the game. This was the first port of Outrun that I felt was anywhere near the arcade. And I think it's because the Master System version, it had enough detail. It had the bright Sega colours. That's what sold it to me. An absolutely fantastic game. Let's just get some of the music going. Let's get some of this playing. But this is the game with the most nostalgia for me with Outrun. Obviously, I absolutely adored the arcade game. Bitterly disappointed when the Spectrum port and all the micro ports, to be fair, were all rubbish. They were all really bad. But Outrun on the Master System, I would go to say that I've got more memories and more fondness and prefer this over the Mega Drive port. I know that's saying a lot because, you know, the Mega Drive version has a lot more power, a lot more detail in the graphics. You know, it's 16-bit, but I love the 8-bit Outrun on the Master System. And that's number 5, guys. Number 4, and I think some of you would have guessed this game would be in my top 10 as well, and that is Shinobi. Loved this in the arcades. Again, we had a cafe in our town centre where my uncle used to take us when I was a little lad. And this was in that cafe, Shinobi. And I absolutely loved this game. The bonus stages of throwing your ninja stars was just absolutely amazing as a child. And again, this game came with my Master System. And I was blown away. It weren't until later years that I realised that this plays very different to the arcade game. But back then, I just thought it was the same game. But no, it plays very different on the Master System. And it's a cracking port. It's got to be in everyone's Master System collection. And that is Shinobi, guys, number 4. Whoa, we're getting into the top 3 now, guys. And like I said, this would change daily. But number 3, and I think this game would always stay in my top 3, even when all the others changed. And that is Master of Darkness. Now, a lot of people will say this is a Castlevania clone and all of that. And yeah, it does take inspiration from Castlevania. But what you've got to remember is Nintendo, family-friendly Nintendo, were actually a very hostile, very, very strong, dominant company that wouldn't allow any of their third-party developers that made games for the Nintendo make games for any other system. And the likes of Capcom, Konami, you know, they were tied into making Castlevanias and all them style of games for, unfortunately, the NES. So Sega weren't going to be defeated here. You know, they produced some wonderful games of their own, and this is one of them. It was a late release on the Master System. This wasn't released until 1992, so really late into the Master System's life. The Mega Drive had already been around for a few years, but this was an absolute classic game. And I'd say, yeah, I'm jesting. It is a bit of a Castlevania clone, but it's got enough originality in there, and it is very different. Yeah, you've got the stairs, you've got the sort of vampire, Dracula-esque theme, but this is a very different game. It's set in sort of Jack the Ripper, London sort of time. And I like the close combat weapons. In Castlevania, you had the long whips, throwing the holy water, and the crucifix. In this game, you've got a hammer, you've got a knife, you've got a sword. It's more close combat sort of fighting. So I think that's very different. I really like some of the puzzly sort of elements to the game as well. Some fantastic bosses as well in this game. So I think it's a bit unfair when it's labelled a Castlevania clone. It takes some inspiration from Castlevania, and I think that's where it stops. This game is good enough to be its own entity. It really is, and it's a cracking game on the Master System. Master of Darkness is number 3, guys. Whew! It's hot in here, and this is number 2, guys. And that is, I'm going to butcher this, Sega. Sega? Yeah, you know me and names, guys. I'm pretty crap. But a Taito classic, this. It's originally, it is actually Darius. For those of you that are looking at the cover thinking, oh, all them sort of like fishy looking aliens. That looks like Darius. This is, I'm not sure which Darius it is. Is it Darius 1, Darius 2? I'm not a huge fan of the Darius shooters in general. I enjoy the Darius games, but I'm not a fanboy of them, so I don't know all the games. All I know is Sega is a Darius game, and why this is number 2 in my list is because it's an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous shooter on an 8-bit. I don't think there's a better 8-bit shooter on any 8-bit system. I know there's loads of... I know a lot of people say the PC Engine is an 8-bit system. But we'll ignore the PC Engine. You know, that has got great shooters. But I'm talking sort of like from a Nintendo, Sega standpoint. Sega is a really beautiful game. You know, I know people will say the NES, the Master System, has flicker, slow down, that sort of thing. But it's really a minimum on this game. And it is a gorgeous looking game, guys. And fully deserves to be number 2 in my top 10, even though it might jumble around a bit. But this would definitely stay in my top 5, 100%. It's a gorgeous looking game. But look at that, them backgrounds. You know, you've got to remember this is an 8-bit game, 8-bit game, guys. It looks absolutely glorious. Awesome soundtrack as well. And it's accessible. What's really good about Sega and some of the Darius games is this is quite an accessible game. If you're not really into your shooters or find them challenging, this actually isn't a bad one to get into. Very playable. And this is number 2, guys. Number 2. What's number 1? Number 1, and I'm sure this will be in quite a few people's top 10 and maybe possibly their number 1 game, and that is Alex Kidd in Shinobi World. Now this game, I was, to be quite honest, the top 3 games I've chosen, they could all be my number 1 really. Depends on certain days and what genre of game I'm playing at that time. But Alex Kidd in Shinobi World is just such a great platformer, and it combines Alex Kidd and Shinobi so well. It really does. If there's one little negative I will say about this game, is it's very short. You can finish this game extremely quickly. Under an hour, easily under an hour you could get this game finished. But it's a quality little game, glorious graphics, runs really smooth. I love how they've made Alex Kidd look a bit ninja-y and all that. It's great, and I love the enemies. You've got the crates. It just captures Shinobi really well as well. It's a great little game, a fantastic game, and this is going to be my number 1 Master System game for today. I hope you've enjoyed this VR response, guys. Please, if you're a YouTuber, get a VR response out if you've got a Master System. Share with us your top 10. Like I said, guys, everyone that I can find that's doing a VR response to this, I will link their videos in the description box below. But there's my top 10, guys, and plenty of honourable mentions. Let me know in comments what your top 10 Master System games are. Until the next time, I'm Sega Zombie. Goodbye.
Sega Zombie. Sega Zombie. Sega Zombie.